Welcome. I can't believe it's Thursday. It's as if the days just fly past. I hope you all are staying safe, healthy, that you are counting down the days for the kids to go back to school. I'm thinking of all the matriculants this year. I think it's quite a daunting experience to write your matric in a year like 2020, but we all have the trust in you that you will just excel under the circumstances. So this is a good luck workshop dedicated to all the grade 12s right throughout the country. May this be a marvelous year, and may it just exceed any expectation you ever had. We'll think of you, and we know it's not a normal, but what I've realized throughout this time of lockdown is just how we as humans can adapt, and how something can so quickly be a new normal to us. I've just seen my own kids, they had to start with homeschooling, online schooling, and how they could just do the things. And I was nervous about Microsoft Teams and Zoom meetings, things we've never heard of before. And they could just do it. And so have we adapted in our business, in things like we do just now. So make the most of every moment. And I truly think of every grade 12 that's writing their grade 12 in the year 2020. Today, we are going to paint onto glass, and what I've thought of doing is just return back to basics. I know on our Tjhoko Creations group, there are many new members that's not familiar with Tjhoko Paint. So bear with me, the dedicated Tjhoko family members that know everything by now, to just repeat some of the things we have already done during lockdown, so that we can reinforce some of those important steps and just share some creatives as well. So this will be something that everybody can attempt afterwards, and hopefully it just gives some creative inspiration for everybody. Now, very important is when working on surfaces like melamine, previously varnished surfaces, if the surfaces are older than 6 months, glass, wall tiles, not floor tiles, is to metal. With metal, you need to make sure that there's no rust on the surface. If you like the rustiness and the vintage look and feel, you don't need to treat the rust. But if you want a perfect item, paint it perfectly, you first need to clean your metal item where rust occurs with a rust converter. It's available at hardware stores. You can just ask them, follow the instructions on the product, and then treat the rust first before you start painting on Tjhoko. Now, Tjhoko is a proudly South African chalk-based paint that grips to most surfaces without a primer, without having to sand. But important is to clean your surface, and the ones that I've mentioned before, melamine, metal, glass, previously varnished surfaces, with lacquer thinners. So I use Power Fix's lacquer thinners because it doesn't contain any benzene, so it doesn't leave an oiliness behind once you've cleaned a surface with a lacquer thinners. So what I have done, I'm just grabbing my thinnest cloth here, I just want to remove it, else we'll feel very happy. I'll feel very happy very soon, not knowing why. I take a cloth, wear gloves when you do this please, wear a mask, make sure there's ventilation in your room. You wet your cloth with thinners. This cloth is very wet. I'm not wearing gloves now, but usually I do, especially when I clean large surfaces. And you wipe the product clean with the thinners. Wall tiles, it's very important to do it thoroughly. Sorry, Kaylee, I know it stinks. Once the thinners has dried, it actually evaporates. And then the smell disappears, and you can start painting on your surface. Wall tiles, melamine surfaces, varnished surfaces, you do the cleaning part very well. That is the greatest preparation and key to success for everything that happens afterwards. You will now wait 20 to 40 minutes. Coastal areas, 40 minutes for the thinners to dry, evaporate, and then you can start painting. Glass, yes, we share such creative ideas in the Home magazine all the time. And you will see we've done something like this in the past, where we left a message, we've put a doorknob, painted the metal lid, and you can even write with chalk on Tjhoko. Write the name, and we're going to do it later today. And you can have a personalized gift. If I want Kaylee Love stationery, if I want to write her a gift, put a ribbon or a rope around, seal it, fill a jar with stationery or sweeties or lovely gift to give someone. And you paint the metal with Tjhoko, the glass with Tjhoko, it doesn't scratch off. Okay, there's no sealer on there. And then Tjhoko, you can also write on with chalk. And take a damp cloth, no sealant on. So Tjhoko has a built-in sealant. We'll discuss glazes later. And you clean it with a damp, it's damp, made damp with water, not thinners. And that's how you clean the chalk off the surface. Here I used a Tjhoko pen. That is lovely, especially if you want the name to stay there. Okay, let's show step by step how to paint on the glass. So, some creative ideas how to upcycle your jars. Rinse out the paint immediately when your jar is empty. What I do, if it has dried, the paint has dried the last bit inside and you want to clean it. Put some thinners inside, let it stand overnight and then wash it with some warm soapy water. Okay, now let's show how to paint. So you can be creative. I just want to see if there's no other bottles standing around. Yes, there we've painted stripes on. They travel with me all the time to workshops to put all our brushes in my stationery. Biscuits in the kitchen, your sugar, your coffee. Let me just get them. So you can paint it one color, solid. Or you can just paint a section of it. So I'm going to mask off a section. What I've also done in the past is I've painted the top section and put fairy lights in the bottom section, battery operated fairy lights, which makes a lovely table decoration. Put flowers in for a friend, lovely personalized gift. And I think with the new normal, we'll all go back to handmade gifts to save where possible. And I must tell you, I appreciate a handmade gift so much. So ask the questions. Kaylee will read them out if you have any questions during this demo. And I'll answer them. If there are any questions afterwards, we'll just type them out. And now I'm going to select a color. So I have selected some blues. So we're working with Pebble Light, which is our lightest blue. Pebble Blue. Then Pebble Shadow fits in here, and there's Godfrey's Glimpse. But this is my color palette for the day. So it is a blue Thursday. I told you I love the ocean. So this is something that my spirit needs at this point. I use a normal paintbrush. Always make sure that your paintbrush has got soft bristles. I like working with Hamilton's brushes. My brush is so dirty, and I've said it many times, this is a fiberglass brush. You don't need something special. And now what I do is I paint a very even first coat. I'm going to paint over the barcode. You please remove it. I didn't think of that beforehand. So I take Godfrey, paint my first coat nicely evenly with a paintbrush. You will see after the second coat it will be lovely even and amazing to use. And this is how easy it is to paint onto glass. We can later, if the paint dries fast enough, we can do maybe a dry brush technique on here. Okay, Kaylee asked the question. I can see this one.
Hi, how do you remove the glue left on the bottle after the label is removed?
Just take some sunlight liquid.
Or baby oil. I know that works as well.
Baby oil works, but then it's very important to just make sure that you remove the oil again with a lacquer thinners. What I like to do is I put it in my dishwater, sunlight liquid water, and then afterwards just remove it. Kaylee's so right, baby oil does work, and I believe there are very tips of how to remove the oil. I usually use those Scotch pads with sunlight liquid, and I just remove it. Okay, Kaylee?
Step by step of painting cupboard. A cupboard. Which paints to use, or are all chalk paint the same for different surfaces?
Okay, so our brand is called Tjhoko Paint. It is a chalk-based paint, but it has unique properties. So with Tjhoko, Kaylee, and just focus on the jar. It's packaged in glass, it's eco-friendly. We use this, and you'll see today, for painting onto glass. This is the same product that we use to paint onto melamine cupboards. It's the same product that we use to paint onto metal. It's the same product that we use to paint onto fabric. It's the same paint that can be a chalkboard paint. And I always say our work motto and company motto is never ever, and you can ask anyone that has ever attended a Tjhoko workshop, never ever to badmouth any brand. What makes our brand unique is the fact that it has a built-in sealant and that it's one product that can be applied to so many surfaces. So Tjhoko is the Sotho for chalk. It's a proudly South African brand. Our mother company is called Paint Master and has been in the paint industry for over 45 years. So my husband's grandfather was a painter, Jaco's dad was a painter, and when Jaco got involved in the company 20 years back, he saw opportunity to manufacture paint. So we manufacture household paints, paints for your walls, for your roofs, waterproofing products, and Tjhoko is an addition to this entire paint family. So we live, eat, and breathe paint. So Tjhoko is a unique product. I'm going to leave this. I hope it answers your question. We have a website where numerous videos are loaded, where you can go have a look at all the different applications and things we have done with Tjhoko in the past. I'm going to leave this to dry, and while I leave this, I'm going to start to share some stencil inspiration with you. So we have a ontploffen at the factory, and I thought, I'm going to get some uses for my filing boxes. So you know these boxes are cardboard that we buy from the stationery stores, and I'm going to show you step by step how to stencil with one of the products we manufacture, Stencil of Paris, and then I'm also going to show you how to paint on it and create a washed technique so that together we create this on a cardboard box. Okay, Kaylee has a question.
There is a lot of questions today.
Okay, ask them. I'm here to help. So ask.
Hi, kan se bottel wat geverf is in die skottelgoedwasser gewas word?
Nee, ongelukkig nie. Tjhoko is not dishwasher safe. So Tjhoko is a decorative paint. So dishwasher safe? No, it's not. Next, Kaylee.
So they also asked here, what's the difference with the paint and chalk paint? But I think you already answered that question.
So with normal paint, like PVAs, you need to apply an undercoat, and you need to, in most instances, sand, undercoat, paint. With Tjhoko, there's no base coat, no undercoat required. So it grips to glass without a primer. It grips to melamine without a primer, without having to sand. It grips to pine wood. You don't need to apply primer to raw wood. You can just paint. Where with normal paints, sand, primer, and then paint. I hope that answers the question.
Hi, can we paint bathroom wall tiles with Tjhoko? Perhaps extra sealant for the moisture in the bathroom.
Yeah, so you can paint wall tiles in a kitchen, in a bathroom. We don't recommend to paint it in a shower. And then we have glazes. So our clear glaze is what we recommend to seal your product, your item, once you've painted it in your kitchen, in your bathroom wall tiles, to make it water resistant, more stain resistant, and if you want to paint something outside, the glaze also makes it UV resistant. So that is what we recommend to apply kitchens, bathrooms and outside, our clear glaze. I think I have an antique glaze jar here. So the clear glaze is not brown, it's see-through, and it says clear glaze. Okay.
Nadine, here's still a lot of questions and tips. I also see tips, which is really nice. They say Doom works very well to remove the glue.
Oh, nice. Okay,
and also Mr. Min furniture polish.
Okay, great. Thank you. Just make sure once you've then used those products to still go and clean with a lacquer thin as well, that it doesn't leave an oiliness behind. I will remember. Thank you.
And also spray and cook.
Kaylee, thank you. And more questions?
Kan ek my kamer mat Tjhoko?
Oh my head. What paint does to fabrics, it changes the texture. So I have seen clients that have painted their carpets, and believe me, if I had one I could paint, I would be the first to test it. What we always recommend is, if it has got long hair, the paint will change the texture. So shorter hair will be more effective, I would say. I have seen clients doing it and that were happy. What we always recommend is test first and see if you like the texture. Even painting on fabric, you first need to test to see whether you like the feel that the paint changes the texture of fabric. So you need to make sure that you like the new texture that the paint creates. Okay, suede it gets changed into more of a leathery feel, and faux leather, I promise you, if my hands see something that's faux leather, my bar stools are chocolate. Let me grab one so that you can see. So these were previously dark, you know, that dark brown color, and I used fine lining, painted them. There's no glaze on them, and if the children leave fatty fingerprints or whatever, I just remove any stains with a damp cloth. No handy Andy on my cloth. I do, to get rid of germs, add some Dettol in my water, just to make sure there are no germs on the surfaces, but not handy Andy. Okay, Kaylee, can I carry on?
Let's ask 2 more questions and I think then we carry on.
Okay.
Hi, wat is die naam van die lekker finish?
Power Fix. Kom ek wys dit weer. So Power Fix lekker finish. Dis beskikbaar by hardeware winkels, builders. So just ask for Power Fix's lekker finish. Another one, Kaylee.
Enige kans vir Tjhoko produkte in Amerika?
Is jy in Amerika? Antwoord gou vir Kaylee. Is jy? Goed, ons is besig. We are busy. Tjhoko is available on Amazon in America, but with small sample kits. So we tested it and they love it. So we are in conversations with an agency in America. These things do take time, but we're busy with it, and we're busy with an agency in Australia for all the South Africans in Australia.
Okay, but you can carry on.
So what we're going to do next is I'm going to show you how to use our stencil of Paris paste. So the paste looks like this. It is already mixed, and I'm going to show you how to apply it. It's easy. What it does, it gives your stencil work a raised effect. And it can be applied to glass, it can be applied to wall tiles, it can be applied to stationery. We're going to do it together today. So the first thing that you can do, and I'm going to start with this file, let's do it together from scratch, is you can, there are various uses. You can first stencil off Paris. Let's do a few. So here's a beautiful Tjhoko stencil.
Nadine, do you have your slippers on?
Yeah.
Because they say they love your slippers.
My feet are finished. We are working overtime at the factory, and I'm running in the aisles to pick everybody's bottles. So, yeah, I was so hoping you could not see my feet, and now I walk to the kitchen. Yeah, my feet are finished.
Nadine, just one more question.
Okay.
Kan ek plastiese stoele daarmee verf?
Oh, mine is painted. Oh, I can show you. Okay. So this is what the horrible ones look like. This is actually a project that I still wanted to finish in lockdown. So here are the ones that are horrible. Okay. And then Kaylee, you have the Dumisa's dream chair by you. Just show them. I don't know if I've wiped them. But yeah, they are painted. I think I will glaze them, although, and now you're going to see my slippers. If they get stains on, you can wipe them clean, even without the glaze on. I just haven't had time to clean to paint all my chairs. The idea here, and I'll tell you the steps painting plastic now. The idea here was to paint chairs different tones of greens. So I've had time to paint two, and now the rest must wait till I have got more time. So I think at a later stage I'll maybe apply a coat of glaze just to make it more stain resistant. Tjhoko leaves a matte finish behind, except on faux leather. It's as if the paint just accepts the shininess of the faux leather. But the paint in general leaves a matte finish, so it shows fingerprints or dirty prints easier, but as I've shown, you can just wipe it clean. Okay, to carry on with the stencil work. This is the stencil of Paris, and now I'm going to apply it on a file with a paint scraper. Girls, you can secure your stencil with some masking tape. Just be careful if it's a paper file that the masking tape doesn't damage the paper. I'm just going to secure it. Paint scraper. I always say, if you feel guilty that you haven't been to the gym for a while, just use your gym card. And I'm just going to reach the sections. I could also have applied some masking tape over those metal sections first. So evenly I spread the stencil of Paris. Allow for the stencil of Paris to dry at room temperature. If it's applied very thickly and you put it outside, it will show fine hairline cracks. So dry at room temperature is best, unless you like the crackiness. Sometimes I do it on purpose to create more effect. And I just evenly supply. The time it takes to dry depends on the thickness of the application, but also the weather. So on a hot day, 2 hours drying time. Cooler days, longer. Everything at the ocean takes longer. Okay, and now I'm removing my stencil while the paste is still wet. And I can wash my stencil in warm soapy water and reuse it. And just look how stunning this is. And in an instance, you have a very personalized file. I'm just going to put this in the water and clean those sections immediately. So I can use this file as is. Or, and now here's the next thing. You can stencil on it, and I'm just going to take this one out of the way. And now I'm going to grab this. You can stencil, wait for the stencil of Paris to dry, and then paint on top. So I've applied it, I didn't do it, so Suki helped me. He applied it quite thick which I like because there's more texture. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take pebble shadow. So once it is dry, this is just a different technique. I can take a paint color, one of the Tjhoko colors, and I can paint over it. Which one did I use, Kelly? This one.
Yeah.
And this is now Pebble Light. Lovely color. A really calming color. Okay, and this is how easy it is. And then once this is round, I'm just sharing ideas. Okay, so see all of this as inspiration to create something of your own. So I will just paint. I don't think I need to show more. Does the painting make sense? Make sure I just move my brush to reach in between all the crevices. Paint nicely in one direction with the paintbrush. Okay. And then once this is dry, I'm just going to put it on the top. We can now decide, and here's a file that's painted in Pebble Light. So here we've already done our stencil work just in a paisley print. We've waited for the stencil of Paris to dry. We painted on top with a paintbrush just as I have shown you now with Pebble Light. Wait for that to dry. And the technique I'm going to show now is called, let's use this brush, dry brush. Now, whenever we do paint techniques, we recommend to use contrasting colors. Can you see Pebble Light is light and Godfrey's Glimpse is dark? So there's a nice contrast between the two colors. And for a dry brush technique, you really need a dry brush. So I'm removing most paint from my brush. I make sure the bristle here are nice and loose. Nowhere there are lumps of paint. And what I usually do is I just use my hand as an indicator whether my brush is dry enough. If you see streakiness like this appear, you know your brush is dry enough. If you brush over your hand and you see this, it's too wet. So the drier your brush, the greater the success for a dry brush technique. And what a dry brush technique, the effect it creates is a sanded effect. So it looks as if you've sanded a surface, but you use very little effort, very little time. And let me show you how it accentuates the pattern if I start to dry brush over my file.
I think I'm going to take this file for myself.
You like it, Kaylee?
Yes.
The paisley print is stunning. And the colors are so beautiful. And this is something else I want to show you, is you can move direction with dry brushing. Just look how stunning this is. And what I like to do is just touch the edges. So the edges are just becoming more darker. Edges. And then I change direction. So this gives like a denim effect. And look just how, this is like opening a gift. And the more you play it nice, the nicer it gets. And there's something very unique and special. Okay, so this is dry brushing technique, stencil of Paris, painting, and that's how easy it is. If you wanted to use a darker color, you could either dry brush with a lighter color on top, or what you also can do is take sandpaper. I'm going to use 80 grit and it's going to make a noise. So I'm going to stand away just to prevent you from hearing all this noise. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking 80 grit sandpaper, my stencil of Paris and paint on my surface, and I'm just sanding. And this is a clipboard. If you have a kid in the house, I hope this inspired them to work hard and have lovely stationery. And I want to create a sanded effect at the top. Kaylee, just bear with me, sorry for the noise. So I want to reveal the wood. Let's take 100 grit. That's for the stop section. And you just sand until you are 100% happy. So I use the 80 grit for the edges because it reveals the wood quicker. Less painful. Sanding, not one of my favorites, but to create an effect, it's stunning. So no one will ever know that this was handmade. If you give them a gift like this, I would love a gift like this. I just love stationery and I just want to reach those areas, make sure it's perfect, bear with me. Here. Lovely to use in your house and to clip pictures on here. You can have an entire wall with clipboards, different stencil design, different colors, and just put your pictures on and in your passage or wherever as picture frames. Okay, the technique makes sense. I'll finish it off beautifully once we are done and make sure it's perfect. I can be OCD at times. I'm going to make sure it's perfect, but this is a sanding inspiration. Okay, clipboard, nice idea as a gift and to hang as picture frames. Okay, the next thing I'm going to show you is, and first before I do that, look at the file inspiration. So they sanded. And here's one that's sanded. And what I've done is I've just written with chalk on there the dates or whatever. If you want to change, this is not sealed, I've only painted it. I wipe clean, no paint comes off. I wipe clean with a damp cloth, not a thinnest cloth, just dampen with water. Wait till it's dry. You can use this cloth, just dry it quickly. Take my chalk and let's say this is a gift and I say it's with love. Okay, and you can color code them. Maybe have an ombre effect of your files in your organizer. I hope that's inspiration. Okay, now to wash onto our surface. Now remember, and I'm going to continue with this one again. Sorry, Kylie. So we have stenciled on here. I have painted with David, waited for it to dry, and now I'm going to wash on top. Now there was a question after our last session, can I maybe mix paint colors in the clear glaze to have a color wash effect on the stencil of Paris or on my embellishments or in a surface where there are crevices and grooves that is not brown but a color? Yes, and I'm going to show you now how it's done. So this is quite easy. What I have done at the factory, I have used our clear glaze, and please forgive me, I forgot to take the bottle as I ran out of the factory to be in time. The clear glaze, and I'm just making some space, The clear glaze is the product that we use kitchens, bathrooms, outside, as one of the questions were earlier. I mix some Danny's Dare in my clear glaze. And how much depends on the effect you want to create. So you will see certain paint pigments are stronger than other pigments, and we've touched on it earlier. White, yellows, reds, bright colors in general, the pigments of those colors are weaker than other colors. Danny's Dare has got a very strong color pigment, and that's chemistry. It's not something that we design. It's just a paint pigment science thing. So what I'm going to do is I have a damp piece of mutton cloth. Let me make more way. And I have mixed antique glaze, clear glaze, the clear glaze, with about 15 milliliters of Danny's Dare, the color Danny's Dare. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a clean paintbrush, mix it, dip it in my mixture, and as we have done, can you see how strong the pigment is? As we have done this week? Tuesday, with the antique glaze. I'm now going to wipe away to have color on my surface instead of an antique brown finish. And this is for a different effect. But just look how stunning this is. So this I will also use where there's detail on a surface. Can you remember the wall we washed? We didn't add anything to our paint. We just use a cloth, distribute the paint evenly on our cloth and wash. On a flat surface, no glazes. Surfaces with crevices and detail, this is a stunning technique to do. So the amount of paint you're going to add to your clear glaze will depend on the effect you want to create. So I paint small sections, wipe away. Certain areas I press harder because I want more white on the flatter areas, more definition on the areas where there's detail. Oh, this is stunning. I'm going to stop here so that I can show you what can be done on top of this surface. Wipe away. Hardcover books, your children can stencil on them. We're going to stencil with paint now. I just want to finish the stencil of Paris part, and I'll share tips there as well. But look how stunning this is. And I play around, press harder with my finger on the areas where I want to remove more, to create more of a definition. And this is very rewarding. Now, if I want to, I can do the following. And this is what we have done on our walls. I can wash with a paint color on top. So I'm using Pebble Light. I'm adding some on my cloth. I distribute it evenly on my cloth. Fold my cloth like a ball in the palm of my hand and press it with my free hand that it sits flat in my hand, and very light pressure I just wash over the surface. And what this does, it gives a mottled effect. So it reaches all here. I don't know if it's visible on the screen. I'm going to add some David so that you can see the effect better. I never know if it's as visible for you as for me. Let's use some David. These are our sample pots, lovely for small creative projects. And I stencil out of them all the time because you use so little paint for stencil work, and then you can have the entire color range. So the 28 mils are the smallest we have, and the 1 liter is the biggest. Okay, there's David now on my lappy, and I wipe to create something stunning. Okay, so that is wash with clear glaze and paint for a different color mix, and then washing on top. Okay, next I'm going to share some ideas to stencil with paint. When we stencil with paint, Tjhoko Paint, we always recommend, and this is a general thing with stenciling, to use as little paint as possible. For small items like a file, you can use a stencil brush, and the stencil brush looks like this. It has got short, hard bristles, can you see? And the less paint on your stencil brush, the greater your success. Now let's use this French stencil, and I'm going to move it like this, and I'm going to secure it with some masking tape that it doesn't move while I'm busy. I like using masking tape. You do get stencil glues, but sometimes they leave a residue behind that I don't like. That's completely up to you, what you want to use. Okay, so I'm going to work with various blues on my blue file. Seeing this is blue inspiration, and I'm going to start with a medium blue. So this is painted in Pebble Light, our lightest version of a baby boy blue, and I'm going to start with, it's painted in Pebble Light, and now I'm starting with Pebble Blue. So what I'm doing, and let me explain from the beginning. I dip my stencil brush in my paint, and what I do is I remove any excess. You can use piece of newspaper, piece of cloth, and like our dry brush technique, I've explained and shown earlier, the drier your brush, the greater the success. And once again, I test it on my hand. Where the paint likes to gather is on the edge of your stencil brush. So make sure you remove the paint there as well. Okay, I don't dab. I press the stencil down with my free hand, and with my hand with very little paint on, I move my stencil brush in a circular movement. So the less paint, the greater the success. You might think, oh, these details are so small, I'll need more paint. You actually don't. Don't let the size of the detail on the stencil brush, or on the stencil, manipulate you. Switch there as well. And I can now maybe carry on, and I'm just giving inspiration. It can be done with only one color. You do what makes you happy. So I dip my stencil brush in my paint. I remove the excess, And I'm working now on plastic. So on plastic, the paint stays wet for longer, so I can grab there again if I need later. And now I have some Godfrey. And I'm going to do a section as long as you understand the principles and how to. I am also going to show how to stencil with a foam roller so that everybody understands that as well. Foam rollers we use especially when we stencil larger areas, but this, okay, now it has moved, but don't worry, let's just stick it again. This foam, you can use both. If you have a foam roller and not a stencil brush, I'm going to show you how to do it. Just make sure I secure it correctly. There you go. So with a foam roller, and what color do we want to add, Kaylee? Some Davet. I'm going to work on my table. Helene has shared such a lovely idea to put plastic in your paint tray. I thought that was so clever. I have never thought of that. And I learned so much from you all. And then you just take your plastic, remove it from your paint tray. Helene, if you watch this video, won't you share it on the group, please? Your plastic in your paint tray. So what I do is I spread some paint evenly on my foam roller. Foam rollers are awesome to use when we stencil on walls or larger areas. And then you will use a 110mm foam roller, especially wall surfaces, works like a bomb. I'm taking my David, my foam roller. I know I can press harder because there is not a lot of paint in my foam roller. I've removed the excess. So I make sure when I roll, this is the effect I get. Then I know there's not too much paint in my foam roller. And I just want to accentuate certain areas with my white, my David, to create a vintage look. Now for those that don't know, Tjhoko is focused on job creation and empowerment, and the names of our colors are named after people in the factory. So David is a person, Comfort is a person. Our pebbles aren't named after people, but Sweetness and Rose are people. Precious and Petunia, Alva, Sheriff, Lorraine, they are all named after people. I'm going to dip my foam roller in my Godfrey just to quicken up the process. Roll it out. Make sure it's evenly distributed in my foam roller. Roll. So as you can see, it's the quickest process as the stencil brush, but the stencil brush is perfect for small applications. And I can't wait to show you the reveal, because at the moment it's colors everywhere. And let's add some Velvet, Kaylee.
Nadine, how long does a paintbrush last and what size do you use?
So a paintbrush lasts as long as you look after it. So after you've used your paintbrushes, wash them immediately in water. If you have the sleeve, put the sleeve back on and it will really last you long. And a good quality paintbrush is an investment. Sizes depend on the size of the surface you're painting. Smaller items like maybe if you think of chairs, dining room chairs, a smaller brush, 38mm, will be perfect. Larger items, 50mm. When I do cut lines to paint walls, so the cut line is the frame that you paint before you start rolling on the inside, a 75mm works well. So it completely depends on the size of the item you're painting. If you have a collection of a 38mm, a 50mm, and if you do paint walls but you don't need to have a 75mm. 38mm and 50mm you are more than safe, and you can do basically anything with that. Unless you do artwork, then we need smaller brushes again due to the detail. I'm just adding some Davet.
Nadine, everybody is saying that they love your earrings today.
This is my mom. So these earrings I got from my mom. One day I'll let you meet my mom. As soon as I can see my own mom, I'll share her with the world. Okay, so thank you for liking my earrings. Okay, so I'm going to remove this now, and voila. We have a stenciled file, and as you can see there, I had too much paint, but I'm not going to let that bother me. On wood. Kaylee is exhausted. She wrote 2 tests today. On wood, if you made a mistake like that, it's easy to fix it. So you wait, or furniture, you wait for it to dry, then you take a piece of sandpaper. I usually use 100 grit or 200 grit. It's still wet, and when it's dry, you just lightly sand over those areas. Then no one ever will even know that for you it was a mistake. And even on my file, I can sand. I'm just going to wait for that to dry a bit. Look how the imperfections just disappear. Very light sand with 100 grit to hide imperfections. The fun thing with paint is you can't make any mistakes, and it's art. I agree, when I paint furniture, everything needs to be perfect, and then you make sure you do it perfect. And I'm going to sand here a bit. And there you have a very unique French file. Okay, last thing I'm going to share with you, and I love this, Kaylee, it looks stunning. Last thing I'm going to share is painting on fabric. Here is our pencil case. Okay, let's go through all the questions that I know we are going to get. Can I wash it? Yes. Once you have stenciled it, iron it at the back and the paint is dry. Iron it at the back, and then it can be hand washed in cold water. Now for fabric, we don't use a foam roller. We only use a stencil brush. You have more control over what you're doing with a stencil brush. And I'm going to use the color Dumisa Stream. The sample pots for these things are amazing, even school projects. We do all our school projects from these sample jars. So I dab my stencil brush in the paint. Remember, we remove the excess. Test it on my hand, even on fabric. Even though you might think, oh, I need a lot of paint because the pattern is small. I love it, Tjhoko stencil. You don't need much paint. So I just press it flat with my free hand, make sure it doesn't move. Lovely gift ideas. Can you imagine to give a bag like this as a makeup bag to a friend? With a lovely ribbon. You can even sew some lace on. And I want to show you stencil layering. Let's do some words here. It doesn't need to be perfect. This is fabric. Let's just do the reveal. So there the words are sitting. I just want to get some more definition on these areas. So I'll just add another coat. So there are no reason why ever you should be anxious. just paint it again. And if it's your own handwork, be proud of it. Okay, so there's some words sitting, and now what I can do is I can just take, and let's see what designs are lying here. Maybe prettias. How do you like that? In the corner, will you see it's a prettier, Kaylee? Maybe that one.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And let's see if we have pinks here. Here's pretty pink. Clean our stencil brush.
Yo, I'm so tired.
Oh, sorry, I'm almost done. Okay. Kaylee, we got up at 4 this morning so they could study for their test today. So we're putting a prettier there, and then we're going to blend with some Davet. Yes, still some Davet on my table. Plastic sheets work well. These are plastic dustbin bags, and afterwards I put them in my dustbin so they have got a double purpose. And I'm just mixing my dirty paintbrush with pretty pink and Davet together. Some pretty pink again, just to make it nice and bright. And Davet. And there we have something unique, lovely gift to give someone. So this is stenciling in a nutshell. Very little paint needed, whether you're using a foam roller or a stencil brush. The less paint, the greater the success. If you want to hide any imperfections, you can rather paint over it again, just not fabric. Fabric you need to work more carefully, but you can just paint over it again and start again, or you can use sandpaper and just evenly sand over it, and it creates a beautiful effect. Stencil of Paris, lovely to use on almost anything. I think it's one of my favorite products because it's so versatile. And then if you want to wash with another color other than antique glaze, mix glaze and paint together. Any of our Tjhoko colors, everything is water-based, eco-friendly, non-toxic. Proudly South African. Okay, stay safe. I'm waiting to hear what you want to see next time. I had requests of painting fabric, like a couch or a wingback or a thing. Let me know if you want to see that. I have a wingback in my bathroom that I will sneak past Tjhoko to show you on Tuesday. But if you have any special requests, please ask them. I'll do my best to show you and share with you as much as possible. See you next week, Tuesday, 3 o'clock, same time, same place. Stay safe. Bye.